Good morning, everybody. This is Brian Snow, the host of Snowman in the Morning, and what you are going to hear is a recording of the very first episode of SITM that we did. It's only an hour long, and we will probably have another taped episode on Friday as our play-by-play schedule is really picking up. We're getting some stuff down for baseball, as well as we are going to get set to air the 2014 Railcats Baseball Challenge, as well as Valparaiso University and a couple of other high schools we have on the docket. We hope that you like our programming here at ASN, and if you do, why don't you consider becoming a listener partner of the Arena Sports Network? For $30 a year, you can help us bring the spotlight back to the student-athlete and enhance our view as the Quad County experience. Again, this episode of Snowman in the Morning that you're about to hear is from October 1st, our very first episode, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day. God bless, and remember to make your next move your best move. Enjoy, everybody. The following is a pre-recorded edition of Snowman in the Morning, only on the Arena Sports Network. And good morning to every one of you tuning us in on the Arena Sports Network. This is Snowman's Morning Show, and I'm Brian Snow, and happy to be with you. And this is obviously this is a new show that we're doing. We had the afternoon locker room for a while, and then we had to take it down because the play-by-play schedule exploded, and I was one of the main folks doing play-by-play. So we're going to have that show back on October the 14th, and we're going to make some changes. The changes that we are going to make, just like this show, the afternoon locker room is going to only be an hour long. And the reason it's going to be an hour long, we want to get some good content out there. I mean, we were doing good when we had 2 hours, but it became a task to fill 2 hours every day, especially after football started and the play-by-play schedule, and I will admit my concentration got shifted and distracted to more preparing for my play-by-play duties, as that's what the first part of my career that I have done for the better part of 18 years. So it is October 1st. It is Tuesday morning. It's a new month, and we hope that y'all had a great September, and we hope it's a great year for you so far. And this edition of Snowman's Morning Show is brought to you in part by Fusion Ions, negative ion bands. Fusion Ions, live your best. Go to fusioниons.com for more information. That's fusioninz.com. And if you want to try or purchase a negative ion band, you can go to our website, thearenasportsnetwork.com. Jeez, I'm tripping over my words this morning. I'm sorry, folks. Go to thearenasportsnetwork.com, click on the banner, and it will take you to where you can purchase your own negative ion bands, and I am a proud user. I'll let you know more about that in the second half of the show during Brian's journey. Now, one of the reasons for this show, it's a sports show, because that's what we do at the Arena Sports Network. And last night, there was a game 163, and I believe this is the fifth out of 6 years that a game 163 has decided a playoff berth. In 2008, it decided the Central Division, and my beloved White Sox won. Last night, it was Tampa Bay and Texas, and David Price pitched a complete game gem, and it's Tampa Bay that goes on to the wild card round. And let me tell you something. Nelson Cruz came back for that game, and he should have just stayed where he was. And the reason I say that is he was the last out of the game, the final out of the game. And that's gotta hurt. That's gotta hurt. Because, of course, he was, as many of you know, he was suspended for taking performance-enhancing drugs. Shame on him. And before you could blink, he was back, and he was the last out of the game. And you know, it's got to get on his nerves that he had a chance to come back and help his team get into the postseason, and he couldn't do it. He basically couldn't do it. So it's Tampa Bay that goes on. Wild card game tonight. Two members of the National League Central Division, the Cincinnati Reds and the Pittsburgh Pirates, will square off. And the winner gets St. Louis. Oh boy. Imagine facing St. Louis and the season that they had with basically a bunch of people that you don't know or that you don't recognize. But I am very proud of the St. Louis Cardinals. We congratulate all of the division winners, including the Cardinals, the Detroit Tigers, the Oakland Athletics, who won the West. As a matter of fact, I'll pull up the matchups here for you in just a moment. This was one of those kind of baseball seasons where I paid attention to it, but I didn't because I kind of knew the outcome of where the White Sox were going to be after the first month of the season, which is they finished dead last in the Central Division, and my hope is that they get it together. For my opening question, and I was talking to a few friends downtown yesterday about this, I know a lot of people here in the Chicago area are Cub fans, and they are putting their trust in Theo Epstein to bring them something that they have not, well, let's just say they haven't had in a long time. Two things they haven't had in a long time. One is a World Series, as a matter of fact. One is a pennant, let me put it that way. And the second is a World Series win. Now, many you fans, baseball fans, know that Theo Epstein was, of course, in Boston, and he brought the Boston Red Sox not one but two world championships after they came so close in 1986. The ball that rolled through Bill Buckner's legs should be the answer to that question as to what happened. But now he's come here to Chicago, he being Theo Epstein, and he is going to try to revive the Chicago Cubs franchise. I read a lot of posts on Facebook about this very subject as Dale Swain bit the dust yesterday. He was fired after 2 seasons as the Chicago Cubs manager. Now, the question of the day, brought to you by Gigahertz, the question of the day is, would this city be able to stand it? Would this city be able to survive, is how I phrased it, if the Cubs ever won a World Series? Frankly, I don't think it would. I don't think it would because all these Cub fans, and am I putting them down? No. I am just speaking honest truth here, even though it's funnier than hell. I'm just speaking honest truth that if and when the Cubs ever won a World Series, and I'm sitting here chuckling thinking about it, if the Cubs ever won a World Series, there would be no way that this city, in particular the North Side, would be able to stand it. There's just no chance. And the reason it would be no chance is because the city would crumble to its knees. It would crumble. No one would know what to do. Absolutely no one would know what to do. These fans wouldn't know how to act. And I'm not saying this to put them down. I'm not saying it that way at all. I'm just saying that when you're frustrated about something for so long as an individual or a group, and the thing that you wanted so badly, and in this case for the Cubs would be a World Series championship, and to see the team to see your team that Cub fans hate so much, aside of the Cardinals, that of course is the White Sox, win a World Series, and to see the Wrigley Field marquee light up these words, "Congratulations, Chicago White Sox," that's got to burn. That absolutely has got to burn. And again, they're putting their trust in Theo Epstein. Alfonso Soriano is gone. They have some young players that are in right now: Starlin Castro, Darwin Barney, Anthony Rizzo, Jeff Samardzija, among others, that are poised, and I will say this, poised to lead this franchise. But where? Okay, the idea is to go out right now. Well, according to a lot of people, is to go out and spend a lot of money on free agents that may not pan out. And I read part of this in an article in the Chicago Sun-Times yesterday. Now they are pouring $500 million into a stadium that is old and decrepit and falling piece by piece. And that, of course, is Wrigley Field. Okay? You want to save Wrigley Field because it's an icon. I understand that. I get that. I absolutely get that. Now you want to add a video board. I get that too. You want to come into the 21st century. And I had a funny discussion with Leo Bienemy, one of our producers, about this very subject. Why don't they just blow up Wrigley Field? Okay? Build a new stadium. Call it Wrigley Field. That's what the White Sox did. They blew up Comiskey Park and built new Comiskey Park across the street from it. But thinking about this on the opposite side of the coin, if they did blow up Wrigley Field, A, where would they play until a new stadium is built? And B, how long would they have to play there? So I guess pouring all the money into Wrigley Field as it stands right now and taking care of that in phases is their best solution. And I'm not bashing the folks at the Chicago Cubs organization. Just looking at it from standpoints that it needs to be, that the fans and the media here in Chicago especially have looked at it already. As we continue on here on Snowman's Morning Show, presented by Slugmaster Baseball and Softball Hitting and Training Aids, and presented by Fusion Ions. Let's take a look at the week that is coming up here on the Arena Sports Network. Yesterday, we were dark. We were supposed to start the show yesterday, but I didn't feel that I was ready to do this. So, and plus, today is the 1st. It's the 1st of October. It's the start of the last quarter of the year. When I think in sports terms, the fourth quarter, or as I like to call it during my play-by-play calls, the money period. And we have our show today. Thursday we have Marquette Catholic volleyball, as they will host Calumet. Today and tomorrow we have TIU soccer with my good friend Ruben Tisch on the call on the TIU Sports Network, as they will host Trinity Christian, as I'm looking at my schedule here. Yes, they will host Trinity Christian. Both games are at 4. You can see them on TIUTrojans.com as well as our website, thearenasportsnetwork.com. Thursday, I mentioned, it's volleyball night. Marquette Catholic hosts Calumet. Friday is homecoming at Marist, and after the morning show, Pat Ketza and I are probably going to be at Marist all day for the homecoming festivities, and believe me, there are going to be a lot of festivities at Marist. And then Friday night, we will team up with High School Cube for audio and video and bring you the call of the Marist Redhawks hosting the Carmel Corsairs. That's the homecoming game, and that's at 7:30, and we will be up at 7 with the pregame. Actually, we're going to be up a little earlier than that. You know, my producer just shot me a message. We're going to be up probably at 6:45 with that pregame, with a few highlights from their loss at Joliet Catholic and a few other things. A lot of interviews that we're going to conduct throughout the course of the week. And Saturday, it's another homecoming. It's TIU's football homecoming, and they will host the Tigers of Olivet Nazarene. Also on Friday, it's TIU women's soccer. They host Olivet Nazarene as part of homecoming weekend. And that's our weekly schedule. And we are going to pause. Yes, we're going to pause for a break. We're getting this together as we go along, so bear with this, folks. Like I said, we had the afternoon locker room. That'll come back October the 14th, and we were together. We had everything together doing that. You just may hear some music breaks coming back in, but at the encouragement of my friend and my hopeful business partner, Matt Rinkars, Soul Man's Morning Show is on. And we are going to pause for a few minutes, and when we come back, I'll talk a little more sports. I'll talk Chicago Bears football and why you should not have believed the hype going into Detroit this past Sunday, and other NFL news and notes, including a wrap-up of last night's game in Nolens. This is Snowman's Morning Show. Good morning on the Arena Sports Network.
Gigahertz, providing customers with excellent service since 2008. Computer problem? Leave it to the staff at Gigahertz, priding themselves with an unparalleled work ethic and continuing to offer customers the lowest prices around. Gigahertz services include PC repair, networking, PC setup, custom PC builds, pickup and delivery, in addition to in-home and in-office service. Get small to large business solutions, service contracts, and much more. Computer problems? Gigahertz. And that's where we come in. Gigahertz for your computer repair and solution needs. In-home, in-store, wherever it's convenient for you. Think your PC's infected? Gigahertz offers free virus diagnostics, with most virus removals done in 48 hours or less. Plus, they'll optimize your PC. Take that, Best Buy. Give Gigahertz a call. 219-218-9323. That's 219-218-9323. Or log on to gigahertzpc.net. Gigahertz, and that's where we come in. iGo Car Sharing, dedicated to creating a robust and convenient and affordable for individuals, and provides the region with expanded economic development opportunities and exemplary environments that have transportation innovations that make it feasible and desirable to get around conveniently and economically without having to own a car, and at the same time reduce vehicle miles traveled and greenhouse gas emissions. To private car ownership requires solutions that use resources efficiently, saves residents money, and decreases the individual and regional ecological footprint. It allows residents to easily choose between multiple modes of transportation to move from point to point quickly, inexpensively, and conveniently. Innovative information technology can integrate both trip planning and service payment across all types of transit, including rail transit, commuter rail, local bus, bus rapid transit, and more. Visit us online at igocars.org and find a location nearest you. iGo Cars, Chicago's only hometown nonprofit car sharing company.
How do you turn a batter into a hitter? With Slugmaster Hitting Stations. Slugmaster Hitting Stations are the most effective and durable baseball and softball batting practice devices available. Versatile, compact, and easy to use, they are accessible or post for an instant hitting station. Use it at the ballpark, at home, or anywhere you want to get some hits in. Work the strike zone, top to bottom, in and out. The most complete workout year-round, indoors or outdoors, teams, or individuals. Slugmaster equipment is constructed from high-grade steel. The rugged design means years and years of use. Slugmaster equipment is used by youth, high school, college, and professional ball players. For more information or to place your order, call 708-705-7354 or visit slugmaster.com. Slugmaster Baseball and Softball Hitting Aids, turning batters into hitters. Hey everybody, this is Brian Snow of the Arena Sports Network, the CEO and play-by-play announcer, and we thank you for listening to our programming. If you're interested in helping out, you can go to the arenasportsnetwork.com and become a sponsor. How do you become a sponsor? Whether you're a parent, a fan, or you're a business, go to the arenasportsnetwork.com, click on the sponsor page, and you'll find out all of the details. For as low as $25 a month, you can help bring more great programming to the Arena Sports Network and also help support the kids that we cover in the small colleges and the high schools here in the Chicagoland area and across the country. Go to Arena Sports Network, to thearenasportsnetwork.com, click on sponsor for more information, or give us a call at 312-451-4041. The Arena Sports Network, where every team has a fan.
At Strack & Van Til, we just made saving on groceries even easier with our new building blocks of value. Just look for the new icons all around the store to find our weekly advertised specials, everyday smart buys, exclusive limited time offers, new lower prices, and even extra rewards. These bright, colorful icons are all about building honest, uncomplicated value, one block at a time, and giving you more ways to save every day. To learn more, visit ValueMeansMore.com today.
We are back on Snowman's Morning Show on this Tuesday, October 1st, here from our Arena Sports Network studios. We thank you all for listening. It's the first edition, still got a lot of pieces to put in place. We eventually are going to have some good guests on the show. And speaking of guests, my first one will be on tomorrow, and it's Matt Rincars. And in fact, he's going to have a feature here on Snowman's Morning Show, getting y'all healthier as the time goes on. Now, I mentioned fusion ion bands. I'll talk more about this during the second half of the show. I mentioned fusion ions bands. I am a proud user after Matt sent me this, and I'm telling you, the changes have been awesome. They have been absolutely awesome. I'll get into that during the second half of the show. We continue on here on the first half of the show, and last night, talking to some friends on Facebook, they believed that the Miami Dolphins, who were 3-0, were going to go into New Orleans and steal a victory. No, that didn't happen. Saints won 38-17. Drew Brees throws for 4 touchdowns and lights up Miami for plus 300 yards passing. You know, there are some teams in the NFL right now where the record does not belie who they are. Some good, some bad. Okay? Miami is one of those teams. Yes, they were 3-0. Yes, they are a good team. But are they going to be competitive over the course of this season after being dormant for so long? I still have a few questions after what happened last night in New Orleans facing fast break football in the Superdome. They still have a few questions to answer because Breeze lit them up. You just wonder, well, they had to come back against Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons, and the Falcons have issues of their own. That's the second game. Sunday night against the Patriots was the second game that Atlanta let get away. It was 10-10 at the half. And New England steals that game. Atlanta had a chance to tie it, but couldn't stick it in the end zone. They led Miami, Atlanta did, 20-10, and let Miami come all the way back and win the game, 27-23. You're supposed to be able to, you're defending AFC South champions, Atlanta. You're supposed to be able to finish games. Like I said, there are some teams in the NFL right now where their record does not belie their identity. There are some teams in the NFL right now that have records that show exactly who they are. One team of which, sorry Joshua Jackson, is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're 0-4, and I'll just go ahead and speak truthfully, and I know Josh won't mind me saying this. They are just flat atrocious. They got lit up by Andrew Luck and the Colts 37-3 on Sunday. Now, when you're facing, they were facing Andrew Luck and the Colts, like I said. And the Colts are a lot of teams that people are looking at to win the AFC South over Houston. Andrew Luck threw interceptions on his first 2 possessions. And yet, Indianapolis rolls 37 unanswered points after Jacksonville turned one of those interceptions into a field goal. And those are the only points that they scored. Remember, they only had 2 in week 1. Only 2. 2 points in week 1 against Kansas City. Now, Kansas City is a surprise. I did not see this coming. The Chiefs are 4-0. So is Denver. They're up top the AFC West. San Diego and Oakland are battling for position. Andy Reid is the biggest difference in Kansas City. They finally get a stable quarterback in Alex Smith that is beginning to understand their system, understand Andy Reid's system. And they lit up the Giants, 31-7. Here's another team that's a surprise. The Giants are 0-4. They got missing pieces on defense that they've yet to solve their problems. And if they don't, Tom Coughlin's seat, you heard this on Lyle Files Live on Monday, Tom Coughlin's seat is going to get that much hotter if it's not broiling already. Another team that I want to touch on where people believed the hype after 3 weeks is the Chicago Bears. Why am I touching on the Chicago Bears? They were 3-0 going into their game against Detroit on Sunday. And Detroit hung 30 points on them in the first half. They led 30-13 at halftime. Many times it's been said by Bears fans that you're either going to get good Cutler or bad Cutler. Well, Sunday was bad Cutler. 317 yards passing notwithstanding. Yet the Bears still had a chance to tie the game. But when you put yourself in a situation where you're down 30-13 and you are playing catch-up for most of the day because you turned the ball over 3 times in that first half, and Detroit converts 2 of them into touchdowns, you're not going to have enough time to come all the way back. Now, there are some cases where I have been wrong, and I admit that. There are some cases where I have been totally wrong, and I don't mind. But we're talking about a team in the Chicago Bears who let probably one of their most popular coaches go since Mike Ditka in the form of Lovie Smith. They've had offensive coordinators each of the years that Jay Cutler has been the starting quarterback for the Bears. Their offensive line, to say the least, has been porous. And that Detroit pass rush was something else on Sunday. And you got Cutler leaning on only one receiver as it looks right now, and that, of course, is Brandon Marshall. Now, he did complete some passes to Alshon Jeffrey, Martellus Bennett, and others. But if you look at how Cutler played and has played, the only person in the receiving corps that he has leaned on is Marshall. And he's learning, Cutler is, to spread the ball around, but you wonder if that's going to be enough. You know, Matt Forte has to get some more touches. Martellus Bennett, their big tight end that they signed, has to get some more touches. Okay? 3-0 does not belie who the Bears were, because 2 of those 3 games they should have lost. That's Minnesota in week 2 and opening day against Cincinnati. Cincinnati led the Bears 21-10 late in the third period until the Bears got it together and snuck out with a win in the final seconds, 24-21. Same situation against the Vikings at Soldier Field. Minnesota controlled that game. They absolutely controlled that game at Soldier Field. And they led 30-24. And then Jay Cutler engineers yet another miracle. And they win the game 31-30. Now, they go to Detroit. They beat Pittsburgh first, 40-24. And 40-23, excuse me. And the win over Pittsburgh, is it a measuring stick? If you look at it from a history standpoint, yes, it is. If you're looking at it from this season standpoint, no, it's not. Because Pittsburgh has been just as atrocious as a few other undefeated, winless teams are. Pittsburgh has been just as atrocious. They have not forced a turnover yet. They haven't forced a turnover yet. In 4 games, they have not forced a turnover. Pittsburgh lost to Minnesota 34-27. Vikes get their first win. Tampa Bay benches Josh Freeman, and they lose to Arizona 13-10. Peyton Manning, well, he's Peyton Manning. Throws 4 touchdown passes, 300 yards, and Denver lights up Philadelphia 52-20. There's another team where their record does not belie who they are. Okay, you bring in Chip Kelly, you let Andy Reid go. There goes your hard-nosed attitude. There goes your identity. My friend Victor Locke and I have talked about this. When teams let a coach go, part of the reason for the team is the coach, who is their identity. Andy Reid, tough, hard-nosed. You fast break football. Chip Kelly, if the first 4 games haven't taught you, you're not coaching college kids anymore. You're coaching grown-ass men that have contracts, that can bark and whine and moan at you, and you can find them all they want, but they're still going to do what they want to do for the most part. Now, in the first game against the Redskins, Philadelphia lit it up. They did the same against San Diego, but they let San Diego beat them at their own game. Denver did the same thing. Denver beat Philadelphia at their own game. Okay? Kansas City goes to Philadelphia. Andy Reid's comeback. He gets a standing ovation. But the product on the field for the Philadelphia Eagles is not good. It's not good right now. They're 1-3. But back to the Bears. And I said this at the top of this segment. Sometimes the record does not belie the teams and who they are. Okay? Bears are 3-1. 3-1 going into this week. But they still have a lot of questions to answer. A lot of questions to answer. And they got Drew Brees and the Saints coming in on Sunday. After the performance that I saw last night in New Orleans, you just have to wonder, the only thing that I have to wonder, if weather is going to be a factor for the Saints playing the Bears. These two teams are on different levels right now, and if the Bears don't get it together, Drew Brees is going to light them up. The last time these two teams played, Drew Brees lit them up in the Superdome. Now, granted, the Bears won 2 of the last 3, including an NFC championship in 2006. But in all 3 games, Brees has had plus 300 yards passing. And now with Sean Payton back at the helm calling the plays for Drew Brees, it's a reunion tour for New Orleans. It's a reunion tour. Because now they're getting ready to show the rest of the league what they missed with New Orleans not being in the playoff picture, number 1, and number 2, Sean Payton not being on the sidelines. So it's going to be fun to see if A, the Bears can contain Drew Brees, and B, will the Bears show up? And I don't mean that to be negative. I'm meaning this to be truthful. They're playing in front of the home crowd. They got lit up in Detroit, and if I were the Bears, I'd be madder than hell right now. Because we let a division game get away. Remember, the Bears let that game 10-6 in Detroit. They led 10-6, and then Detroit scored the next 24 points with the help of some Bears turnovers. But, be that as it may, the Bears need to be ready. Because New Orleans is coming off of a high. They're 4-0. Brees is back. Payton is back. And they haven't missed a beat. It just seems like when Sean Payton came back to the sidelines, the Saints didn't miss a beat. They're back to who they are, and they have their identity back. I mentioned that word earlier in this segment. The Saints are back to being who they are. Another team that could be back to being who they are is San Francisco. 2 embarrassing losses back-to-back. They got skunked in Seattle, 29-3. They got skunked at home by Indianapolis, 27-7. And now they go to St. Louis on a short week. And blow out St. Louis, 35-11. San Francisco is probably going to embody the attitude that the Bears and other teams should have. They're going to be mad. And they have a home game Sunday night against Houston, against the Houston Texans. And that's Sunday night football in San Francisco. The 49ers, I believe, are going to be back to who they are, and this is going to be their best test, one of their best tests. They had 2 of them back. They had 2 of them back to back with Indianapolis and Seattle, and a lot of 49er fans I know panicked. Why did they panic? Because they were 1-2. They only had scored 10 points in 2 games. Colin Kaepernick had sub 100 yards passing. But you have to keep a few things in mind. When they played in Seattle last year, they got skunked. And that Seattle defense, that whole team is good, okay? The Seahawks are just playing good. But that defense in Seattle is bleeping frightening. It's frightening to have one of the best quarterbacks in Colin Kaepernick on the run the way that they did. I applaud. Much love to the Seahawks, okay? And this is coming from a long-time 49er fan. But I know what I saw when I watched that game in Seattle. And much love to the Seahawks for frightening Colin Kaepernick the last 2 trips in. But I'll say this. The Hawks have to come to San Francisco December the 8th. Take a pause for another break. When we come back, I will have the premiere of Brian's Journey. And I'll explain as we go along. This is Snowman's Morning Show on the Arena Sports Network.
My name is Matt Rencars, and I'm the founder of Fusion Ions. We are so confident that you're going to love our bands. We want you to try one risk-free so you can see for yourself how powerful these bands really are. Don't wait. Go to FusionIons.com to find out how you can receive your very own free Fusion Ions band. Take advantage before they are gone. FusionIons.com. That's FusionIonz.com.
Anne-Marie specializes in premier 5-star vendor and craft shows. She also offers event planning for special events of any kind. Anne-Marie's goal is to provide both her vendors and shoppers with an exceptional experience, believing that promotion is the key to any successful event. Anne-Marie has developed personal relationships with her vendors and is constantly being sought by vendors who would like to participate in her popular events, often with wait lists for vendors. Working with Anne-Marie is an enjoyable, stress-free experience. Anne-Marie is a perfectionist and very creative. She is 100% committed to each event from beginning to end and believes that promotion is the key to any successful event. No stone will go unturned as it relates to promotion. For the ultimate in event planning, contact Anne-Marie today at 219-741-0435 or visit anne-marieprince.com. Premier events in Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana are brought to you by Anne-Marie.
Planning an upcoming event? The completely refurbished Diamond Club at U.S. Steel Yard is available year-round for birthday parties, wedding receptions, business meetings, conferences, and a wide variety of other activities. With a full service bar and the ability to accommodate groups of up to 300 people, Diamond event. Fully customizable food options through Aramark are also available. Call the Railcats at 219-882-2255 and have the Railcats fashion an event your friends, family, clients, or colleagues will never forget. The Gary South Shore Railcats, redefining fun.
At Dr. Catherine and Associates, their goal is for people to be excited about learning how to save a life. They make CPR a fun and educational experience. Their classes are geared toward healthcare providers, teachers, sports coaches, families, and people of all ages. 75 to 85% of all out-of-hospital cardiac arrests happen at home. Are you prepared to help save a life? Contact Dr. Catherine and Associates today. They teach CPR 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, nationwide by appointment. Visit them at 820 East 87th Street, Suite 100 in Chicago, or give them a call at 312-623-2433. That's 312-623-2433. Or go online to learncprchicago.com. Dr. Catherine and Associates, in the community, for the community.
Okay, now that I'm up and I got a little energy and I got a few things off my chest. Oh, I'm sorry, we're back. Welcome back to Snowman's Morning Show here on the Arena Sports Network, our foray into more sports talk programming. October 14th marks the return of the afternoon locker room, and a week later will mark the return of the Brian and Rich Show. Sorry we're taking so long to get programming back to you, but would rather have it right than to try it again and things go wrong. We have to shut down after a short season yet again. Tonight, Major League Baseball playoffs, the wild card game in the National League. The Cincinnati Reds will be at PNC Park to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. They'll pitch at 7:07 p.m. this evening, and good luck to both teams, and a special shout to my good friend Tommy Williams the public address voice of the Gary South Shore Railcats, American Association champions. And he is a longtime Pittsburgh Pirates fan, back to the We Are Family days in 1979. So I know he's going to be on the edge of his seat. And, I read a post from him on Facebook, and he and I have talked many, many times over the years. He wrote a post sometime back. This is before the Railcats clinched their American Association championship. This is right after they did. Where he wrote, "The Pirates are in the playoffs. The Railcats are American Association champions. I've had a good baseball season." Close quote. Well, Tommy, I'm happy for you, bud, and I will be paying attention to this because one of the teams that I picked in talking to my friend Pat Ketza, who's also one of our producers, one of the teams I picked was the Pittsburgh Pirates. And I said I wouldn't be surprised if it was the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Oakland Athletics that square off in the World Series. We're going to stick with a little baseball here. Brian's journey coming up in the last half of the last part of the show. Let's stick with a little baseball here. Tampa Bay will play their wild card game Wednesday, and it will be at Cleveland. And Tampa Bay just won game 163 last night, and they rode the arm of David Price, who hurled a shutout. And you know what? Texas has got a lot of issues right now. Nelson Cruz comes back for one game and one game only, and it will be a game that ends the season. The winner of Cincinnati-Pittsburgh will play St. Louis on Thursday, and the other division series, the Dodgers and Atlanta, also will start Thursday. Cincinnati-Pittsburgh winner will play St. Louis at 4, and Dodgers and Atlanta will play at 7:30. The winner of the American League wild card game, which is Tampa Bay and Cleveland, will head to Beantown to take on the Boston Red Sox. They'll start at 2, and Detroit and Oakland will play at 8:30. And that's your baseball schedule. Now, to bring you a segment that gets a little personal with me, and this was encouraged by, like I said, my good friend Matt Rinkars of Fusion Ions, and Snowman's Morning Show is presented by both Fusion Ions. Visit FusionIons.com to get a negative ion ban. You can also click on the banner on the ArenaSportsNetwork.com, and also by Slugmaster, turning batters into hitters. Visit our KSAX website at Slugmaster.com or call 708-705-7354. Decided to get a little personal and chronicle my new health journey beginning today in a way that I know how. I am taking the advice that a lot of people have given me, where they said you have to journal everything. And thinking about it last night and praying about it last night, it is so true. I've only, excuse me, pardon me, I'm sorry. I've only journalized things sporadically. And that's not good. And the reason it's not good is because I find myself holding on to a lot of anger and a lot of stress from situations that I've dealt with. And I've dealt with situations for a while where I would just hold things in. And Liz tells me all the time, you know, when I'm around her, she'll say, Brian, if you're angry, just let it out. And I would tell her, I'm afraid to, because I don't want people to think that I'm yelling at you. And she told me, Brian, I don't care. Just let it out. You're frustrated. I know it's not about me. In fact, a few people told me that. They're like, just let it out. So I'm going to chronicle my health journey the best way I know how, with my two most powerful weapons. And that's my voice and a microphone. And this, I know, will be the way that I can do it consistently. And this is going to be tough. It's going to be tough. It's not going to be, well, yeah, it is. It's going to be even tougher than the battle I had with diabetes for 3 years. I fought it for 3 years, folks. I got diagnosed in 2010, right before my birthday. And I was living in Gary, Indiana at the time. And my friend Victor, who was staying with me, looked at me and said, "What are you going to do, cowboy?" And my exact sentence was, and forgive the phrasing, "I'm going to kick diabetes in the ass." And I did. Last 2 trips I've had to the doctor, no symptoms. Now, what I have had to change wasn't as drastic as people fighting diabetes can think. And I don't want you to think, and you'll hear this on Fusion Power Hour. That's something I didn't do. This Saturday is the premiere of Fusion Power Hour, Real Health Talk, with Dan Barrett and Matt Renkars. Saturday morning, 8 a.m. They will give y'all the answers to the health questions that you had, but you referred to doctors. They will tell you straight from the hip how you can make your life better. Those two are the guys that are the reason I'm doing this journey and putting it on the second half of my show, Monday through Friday. Because I want folks to be able to realize that you can make yourself better if you find a way that's comfortable for you to make yourself better. I mean, people can give advice all they want. They can give advice all they want. But it's going to be up to you to take the right pieces and put it in your puzzle. To put it in your life to make it better. Now, each day, about this time, I'm going to talk about a subject that has been affecting not only me, but I know a lot of the listeners that are going to be tuning in every morning, they're going to identify with it too. And the subject I'm going to touch this morning is stress. Lord knows we get into situations where things don't go the way that you want, or you had a perfect plan in place for something and it backfires. How do you cope with that situation? There are so many pieces of advice and books about how to cope with stress. And none of those advice givers tell you the simple lesson that I found out I can honestly say it, just last week about dealing with stressful situations. You know, the most common piece of advice would be, for people to tell you to just tune it out. Tuning it out only works to a point because it's going to pop back up in your face again, especially when it's people that are stressing you out. Some situations pop back up again. Forgive me if you hear a few tears, because I really feel that I have to do this, and I am going to do this. Situations pop back up again where you're scared to deal with it because it's thrown in your face and you have to make a decision quickly, and you can't do it. You can't make a decision because you don't know what that decision is. You don't know what you're facing. You don't know all the factors. See, it's natural for us as human beings to try to process everything before making a decision, which is good advice sometimes. But there are situations where you just have to, like a good cornerback on defense, read and react. You got to read it, you got to process it quickly, and you got to react to it. Well, a lot of my reactions over the past 10 years in stressful situations, on and off mic, were wrong, which led to me putting on a lot of weight, which led to, as I said, me contracting diabetes for 3 years, which led to me having thoughts of suicide. I mean, there have been points in my life, and I can honestly say this, where I thought, screw it. No one would miss me if I was gone. But I fought all of those feelings, and I'm here. And part of the reason that I had thoughts of suicide was because, I didn't think anybody. Part of the reason I didn't think anybody cared. Number one. Number two, I didn't think that I mattered to anybody, and just a whole plethora of other reasons. People get in your head, and you can't kick them out. You don't allow yourself to kick them out because, they may sprinkle a couple of truths in here and there to make you believe the blank that they're shoveling. Well, I'm here to tell you and tell those people that are shoveling all that mess in your face, turn it around and shovel it at them. And what is the best way that I have found to cope with stress? Our phone's ringing off the hook already. What is the best way that I found to cope with stress is I just be quiet for a while. And so, two things. One, I find a place where I'm alone and nobody's around me because I don't want people to think I'm crazy, although my friends think I'm crazy anyway. I find a place where I'm alone and I yell it out. I yell everything out that's on my head, and when I do that, it's just relieving. It relieves me. It absolutely relieves me. So I can't throw a baseball 200 miles an hour. I can't find a bucket of baseball. And I've always said this when I was a kid. I want to find a bucket of baseballs and just go out into a field and just, give me a bat and 200 baseballs and I'll be all right. That's what I've always said. But since I can't readily get a bucket of baseballs and head out into a field and hit every last one of them to get all my frustration out, one of the best things that I do is I go yell it out. I find a place where I am alone, where no one's around, so they won't think anything crazy, and I yell everything out that I'm feeling. Are there a few cuss words involved? Yeah, there are. There are. And after I get all that frustration out, I'm able to tune out the person or situation that gave me the stressors in the first place. And sometimes you just have to detach yourself from stressful situations. You just have to detach yourself from it. Now, that is a process in and of itself. Period. That's a process in and of itself. But the more that you find a method that's comfortable for you, yeah, like I said, yeah, there are books of advice, there are pieces of advice on how to deal with stress, but you got to find what's comfortable for you. I'm not here to give anybody any advice because I'm nowhere near the expert on stress that some people are. I am just here to connect with the fans and connect with people and let them know that you can turn your life around and you can become healthy again and you can be yourself. Best advice I ever got was for me to be myself. And dealing with everything that I have dealt with just in the past 2.5 years, that's the best advice that I've leaned on. I've leaned on a lot of prayer, and I finally woke up one day, and I said, screw this. I never spoke of myself physically because I didn't want people to think that I was cocky, that I was arrogant, But I finally woke up one morning this past spring, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I said enough. I'm tired of looking the way that I look. You know, a lot of times, you know, the question would come to me, did you not get the memo? And I finally got the memo about who I am and what I need to be, and how I need to be. How I need to be for myself. And that's what you got to do, folks. Stay true to yourself. Find your method of dealing with stress. Now, am I saying to go out and shoot people? No. No. Find a peaceful way to deal with stress. If you have to yell your brains out until you get everything out, so be it. If you have to sit in a quiet corner and meditate, and I've tried that on a few occasions, then do it. If you have to walk around all day and say as loud as you can, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore, then so be it. The other thing that I've done is laugh. I'd cue up a cartoon or a comedy clip, and anyone who knows me knows that my favorite comedian is George Carlin. I'll cue up a comedy clip, I'll cue up a cartoon, and I'll just laugh. I'll laugh my brains out. And that melts the stress away as well. So, the first part of Snowman's journey is dealing with stress. Find your way to deal with stress, be it with laughter, be it with yelling and cussing, be it with going to work out. Find your way that's comfortable for you and show everybody that stressed you out in the first place, hey, you're not going to get the best of me anymore. You may have done it in the past, but you're not going to do it anymore, period. To wrap it up for this premiere edition of Snowman's Morning Show and Snowman's Journey, brought to you by Fusion Ion Bands, FusionIons.com, FusionIonz.com. And again, I leave you with, don't let people get on you. Don't let people stress you out. If they do, find your way to deal with it. Laugh a lot, go lift some weights, go running, or yell it out. But you can't have that stress on you because it turns into weight. And when you gain weight, you eat the bad things. And when you eat a lot of bad things, you feel good for a moment. But then, after a while, you wonder why you did it. It's one of the parts I'll touch on. It's one of the parts I'll touch on tomorrow on the journey, and that's emotional eating. And it's still an issue that I'm dealing with to this day. Emotional eating is something I'm dealing with to this day. But you know what? I'm going to have Matt Rinkars on tomorrow, and we're going to deal with this. We are absolutely going to deal with this. Well, first show's done. We're out of time, and thanks to everybody that listened to us today. We're going to get this together, folks. We're going to get this together. Thanks to Matt Rinkars of FusionIons.com. Thanks to RK-Sack of Slugmaster. And thanks to all the people that have lent their support and gave me the green light to add this kind of programming to the Arena Sports Network. And thank you, Matt Rinkars, for encouraging me to take my journey to the airwaves. Because I have to do it the way that I know how to do it, and that's using a microphone. So come along on this journey with me, and come along with me every morning from 7 to 8 Central Time, 8 to 9 Eastern Time. This has been Snowman's Morning Show on the Arena Sports Network. Thanks for listening, everybody. I wish you a great day. Hope for God to bless. Remember to make your next move your best move. Have a great day, everybody.